Welcome, everyone. It's awesome to have you here. I have a special guest with me today, Justine Maree Cox. So, Justine, you are the founder of the Leadership Lift program, and you work with SME businesses to really help their teams to thrive and to create a bigger impact and influence within their organization as well, which is awesome. And I know we share a similar background, being that you have a HR background, which is awesome. And I know you've personally been responsible for managing over 450 people yourself, running budgets of anywhere up to $80 million, which is no small feat. And so I know that the clients you work with, you've worked with hundreds of people as a leadership coach as well, really helping them to step up into their leadership roles. So it's fantastic to have you here, Justine.
Oh, thank you. And that's a very gracious introduction.
You're so welcome. I'd love to hear a little bit more around your story and how this all happened, because I know, like myself, you transition out from the corporate space into running your own coaching and consulting business. So tell me a little bit around that decision for you, and I guess how you ended up doing the work that you do now.
Yeah. So Leaders Change Room's it was born about 5 years ago, and it happened 9 months after I had my son, Nash, who's now just turned 6.
Yeah.
I had always wanted to sort of do my own gig, but honestly, I wasn't brave enough to leave a good paying job. But I'd been off on maternity leave, and when I went to go back to my corporate role, while they did offer a degree of flexibility, I realised that it wasn't going to be enough.
Yeah.
I just decided that now was the time to give it a go. I treated it as an experiment to start with, because I figured you can't fail an experiment. Basically what I did is looked at all the corporate roles that I had, and I took all the things that I loved out of them and created a business around that. And that for me was around helping leaders. I absolutely am fascinated by people and their behaviours and why we do the things we do. And for me, leadership is a privilege. And throughout my career, I was always really focused on the leaders, because I understand the impact and influence that they can have on whole organisations and large groups of people. So that's where my focus went.
Yep, fantastic. And so when you're kind of going through that shift, you mentioned that, it's really comfortable to stay in a corporate gig. We've all been there, right? And so what was it that really sort of made the big difference for you to go, you know what, now's the time, like I really need to make this happen for myself?
Came off the back of the fact that I'd been out of the workforce caring for Nash. So that break gave me an opportunity to reflect on what I really wanted moving forward. I love working, and I knew that was going to be a challenge for me. And I knew I also needed to create a different lifestyle so that I could be the mum that I wanted to be. And that was really the impetus. I live in a regional town, so I live in Ulladulla, which is the south coast of New South Wales.
Yep.
And to enable me to live here, I had always done lots of travel for work, and I just wasn't going to be able to do that sort of travel anymore. And the work that is available to me locally wasn't the kind of work that I wanted to be doing.
Got it. So it's like create my own gig.
Pretty much, yeah. And so I thought I'll have an experiment here. I sort of started while I was towards the end of the maternity leave period, dipped my toe in the water. And I got a couple of local clients. Following those opportunities, if you're clear on your purpose and your direction, will actually land you with the opportunities you really want to have. So sometimes you've got to take them so that it opens up a few more doorways.
Yeah, I love that. Just being able to, like you said, run an experiment and go, okay, what could this be like? And at least just dipping your toe in the water to have a go is awesome. And apologies for my croaky voice as well today, Justine. But in terms of like getting that started as well, like what was the mindset that you had to really adopt in the beginning? Because I know a bit about you, Justine, and I know you've got like this wealth of experience and skill, having done what you've done in the corporate space, and then, being able to translate that into the leadership space and working with others in an area that you're really passionate about. And I know from going through this myself as well, there's always that kind of leap that you kind of have to take with yourself, either from a mindset or other angles. So how did you kind of, I guess, muster up the courage to take that leap?
That's a really good question. First, I started speaking to some close friends that I had from my corporate life.
Mm.
And in reflection, I don't think this was deliberate at the time, but on reflection, I was testing the idea with them. And so I got a little bit of positive feedback from that, which gave me a little more motivation to keep going.
Yep.
But for me, it was really about, while I was off with Nat, we started to do a little bit of travel. And I love travel. I backpacked in my 20s, and I really wanted to try and incorporate more travel into my life. And so I saw having my own business as the opportunity to do that. So that kept me motivated to keep going, because it was tough. I still struggle with and we've talked about this, Amy, the business development and the sales side of things. That doesn't come naturally to me, but I'm really good at building relationships. So I'm using that to kind of propel me forward.
You're certainly not alone there. Like a lot of people, when we first go out of the corporate space, we realize, okay, well, there's a skill set that we have innately from the work that we've been doing. And like you said, building relationships is one of your strengths. And then when we get into business, we realize, okay, well, we've also got to know this, and we've got to know sales, we've got to know marketing, and we've got to know client retention, and we've got to know finance, and we've got to know all of these things. So what were some of the ways that you initially sort of overcame some of those challenges in the beginning?
So the first thing I did is I got involved with a group it was a free Facebook group.
Yep.
And it was all online entrepreneurs. And I hadn't really got into that world before. So it was very new to me. It was exciting, and I like change. So that kind of bright, shiny kept the fires burning at the beginning.
Yep.
And then I joined a course to help me understand what are the skills that I need to actually run a whole business, because it's clearly not just about your technical expertise and delivering that. There's a whole range of other skills that you've got to take on. Yes. So I found getting that support and finding other like-minded people was really important at the beginning.
Yeah, fabulous. And how has that helped you and your business to evolve? So if we think back from, well, in the beginning, we had a couple of people in your network where you got some gigs through, and then you eventually landed, the ones that you really wanted as well. So how did that help, the evolution of your business, and how did that fast track your progress?
One of the things that happened for me early is that when I was doing the courses and going out and talking to people, I realized that I actually had a lot of transferable skills.
Yep.
So, the budgeting and the marketing, and while I wasn't responsible for those things in my corporate gig, because it was HR, I had been at the executive level for a while. And so I'd been sitting around tables with these people, listening and talking about strategic planning and how all of those elements tied together. And I found that I actually knew a lot more than I thought I did. So that helped to boost my confidence. And then I just went to people that I trusted and trusted me, and started to talk to them about, well, how could I help you? Is there a need that you've got that I can fix? And I started to get a bit of positive feedback from that. So that increased the confidence. I know that there was a period about the 9-month mark where it got a little wobbly, and I didn't have a lot of work coming through, and I really considered trying to get a part-time role so that it would give me some consistent income, because that's probably the biggest challenge that I've had is managing that mindset around, okay, I don't get the same amount coming into the bank account every week or every fortnight or every month. And that really got a little wobbly. And then I decided I wanted to get some more consistent revenue. So I started thinking about, well, where can I find some consistent revenue while I'm still building the pieces that I want to do for the long term? And that's really helped me. And I still do that. I still consider in my business, where is the consistent revenue going to come from? And then where is the kind of the cream coming from, and how do I balance those two things?
Yeah, I think that's a really key point. And for anyone that's listening to this, I think that's really relevant, because we do go from having that consistent paycheck, and oftentimes that can be that safety net that we have behind us in a corporate gig. even though I'm sure you know, working in HR as well as I did, I've been made redundant in my career as well. And so that safety net sometimes isn't as safe as what we might think as well. But it's about sort of building up that consistency in your business as well, which I think is great. And when you were at the stage, because I know when we started talking, you'd hit a really good level of success in your business, and you continuing to work with the businesses that you wanted to be working with. You have a really successful program, your Leadership Lift program. I know really helps leaders in those 7 steps that you teach to really help them boost their own confidence and step up into their leadership roles, versus if they've been like in a technician role as well, and now they've found themselves in this whole new world. And it really helps the business owners and CEOs that you work with to start to rely on their team for success, and actually helps them to start removing themselves from aspects of the business. And so once you'd hit that level of success in your own business, like, what was next for you? Like, what were you looking for? And, what was the reason that you reached out to me?
Yeah, well, the reason I reached out to you is because I have a mission to experience as much of the world and its people as possible, and leave a legacy of strong and kind leaders.
Yeah.
And I knew that I needed to expand my network at a greater rate than I could do on my own. And that's when I found you on LinkedIn. Yep. LinkedIn was always the place I needed to play. But if I'm totally honest, I was a little nervous.
Yeah.
For me, and I think we talked about this, Amy, for me, the marketing that I was doing on Instagram and Facebook felt safe.
Yeah.
Because it was a little fun. It's a little more playful. You can afford to, play around a little more. But LinkedIn always seemed more serious and corporate, and I was nervous about how I was going to represent myself there. But I knew that I needed to if I wanted to take the business to the next level. And particularly Leadership Lift is my signature course that has had some great success, and I wanted to take that to more people. And that's why I went looking for someone like you.
Yeah, brilliant. And what were some of the things that, once we'd worked together and you really figured out the LinkedIn system and how it really works, like, what were some of the things that maybe kind of surprised you from, I guess, your initial thoughts about LinkedIn when you hadn't really fully explored the platform?
My first aha moment, Amy, was when I realised, and it came out of one of the group coaching calls that we do each week, was that I needed to treat it exactly like I would a networking event, and be more personable. Yep. I had not ever considered it in that way, and I don't know why, but it was a real aha moment. I was like, oh, okay, it's just, I need to imagine when I'm, sending messages or reaching out to people, I now imagine myself as if I'm in a room with them. Yeah. Because that just helped me feel more comfortable and also be less formal. Yeah. Like, in my head, I had kind of built it up to be this very corporate, formal thing, and that's not really representative of my brand, because I'm much more relaxed and I like to take complex things and make them simple for people. Yep. And I was really struggling with that, but being part of your program helped me to see it in a different light. Yeah. And what was the reaction from like some of your network as well? Because I do remember our first conversation, Justine, and I know that, showing up on the platform in the right way was something that was really important for you. And so when you did start to put out some of this content and you started to get really comfortable on the LinkedIn platform, what was the reaction from your network and what was the impact on your business? Well, more engagement. Yeah. Surprise, surprise, Amy. And you already knew that. I started to actually share a little more about me. I kept very vanilla and very focused on the technical aspects of leadership. But actually then I started to share more about me, more about my experiences, and that got much more engagement. Yep. And it has also resulted in more clients. Fantastic. Yeah. Yep, that's what we like to hear. Yeah, absolutely. It's and I now am much more comfortable to reach out to people that I don't know. I was sort of waiting for people to come to me. And how is that working for you? Really good. I mean, one of the best things that for me that came out of your program is I now have this really nice rhythm about how I approach LinkedIn every week. Yep. And that just took the thinking away. Yeah. So when I go into the week, I know, I'm going to, post this many times, and I'm going to reach out to this many people, and these are the types of people that I'd like to reach out for, and even to the point of this is what I want to say to them. And your program helped me really get much more clarity on that and a really nice rhythm around that, which I teach my leaders in my leadership lift course around the importance of an operating rhythm. And your program helped me have that for LinkedIn.
Yeah, fabulous. And I think one thing I really love about your approach and just how you are, Justine, is that you are an action taker and you're a doer. And I think it goes back to the start when we were talking about running things like an experiment as well. And I think that has been, shone through in terms of how you've approached LinkedIn as well, in that there's that line in the sand where it's like, you have to just get out there and do it and try, right? And I remember our first conversation where you were like, yep, I'm in, let's do it. And I'm like, this is great because, and the results speak for itself when you talk about like just taking the system and actually running with it and implementing it and just trusting in the process as well. And I know that's what you teach too. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I grew my network on LinkedIn in about a 3-month period. From just under 1,000 to over 1,600 connections. And I've had calls with people that I would never have done before that. And that's it's also opened up other opportunities for collaborations. So that was the other benefit that I probably didn't anticipate. That people started to reach out to say, oh, tell me more about what you do. I'm doing this. Is there ways we can work together? And I love collaborating. I mean, I think we are absolutely stronger together. And that's been a really positive, unintended kind of outcome for me.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I know like across your entrepreneur journey as myself, you've done lots of coaching programs, lots of courses, like continually investing in yourself, which I think is awesome and totally necessary. And so what were some of the differences that you found with just the community of the In-Demand Coach program compared to other communities you've been involved with as well?
Yes, I came off the back of another community. So I'd finished one and I started with you. The single biggest difference, and you talked about it before, it's simple and action orientated. So some of the other programs have been great in terms of they've told me all of the kind of background information and I've learnt things. But then in terms of actually turning that new knowledge into action, there wasn't such a direct link. Where in your program, there's an absolute direct link between I've now got new knowledge and this is how I can apply it. And that resonated absolutely with me because it's exactly what how I developed Leadership Lift. So it was a really beautiful fit for me.
Yeah, fantastic. And for other coaches and consultants that might be listening to this who maybe in their corporate executive or leadership roles, or maybe like early in their business, like they've got a couple of clients, but they're really looking to start expanding and start to grow. From what you've learned along your journey, what are some like maybe 2 or 3 big things that they can take away that, really has helped you and you think would be really good to share with them as well?
I think the first one, and I've said it a few times, approach it as an experiment. Because you can't fail the experiment. I think we put too much pressure on ourselves to be perfect and get it right, and there is no right. There's just different shades of grey, and you need to explore that, and that's where the learning comes from. The other thing is find your tribe. And, Aligned Tribe definitely was a tribe for me. You need support. And you need to bounce ideas off other people. And the amount that I learnt in the group coaching from hearing other people's perspective and experiences is invaluable. And I've also made some really great connections. I now keep in contact with a couple of people. One, we've set up our own monthly accountability call outside the program. And so that's been brilliant. So, and the other thing is you need to find your own operating rhythm. So be really clear about the things in your business that will move the dial and the things that won't. Because when you are working on your own or in a small team, it's really easy to be busy but not have an impact. And we all get caught in it. And so that was, get real clarity in your business about the things that you need to do that will make a difference, the things that can wait, and the things that just are not important.
Yeah, I love that as well, because sometimes you can be hiding away and working away and thinking that you're making an impact and a difference in your business. but it actually takes sort of stepping up, stepping out, and being surrounded by the right kinds of people around you that are going to hold you to account and going to make sure that you're taking the right kinds of actions so that, you know, you're focused on the right kinds of things. And then it means that you actually do have that business of freedom and have more flexibility because you're not wasting your time doing the wrong things in the wrong order.
Absolutely. You know, we can all be busy, but that doesn't mean you're going to get results. So, just get focused on the right things.
Yeah, I love that. And I know just before we started this chat as well, you've landed a few clients this week. You've got some proposals out there for some other big clients coming through too. And so what's the big vision for you, Justine? Like if we look 12 months ahead, where do you want to take the business from here?
Well, in 12 months, I'd like to be with my son in Europe, because I want to be able to live and work for 3 months of each year somewhere new in the world.
Yep.
So that's the first thing. The second thing is I want to get Leadership Lift to more people because it's getting some fantastic results for people, and I want to help grow the next generation of strong and kind CEOs.
Yeah.
And, you know, I love inspiring in people their potential because we are all capable of so much more than we can even imagine.
Yeah.
If you get the right support and you get on the right path and you stick at it, anything's possible. And that's why I love what I do.
That's awesome. And I think it's so good to have that vision as well. And you can see the path ahead of you and how achievable that actually is for you, which is awesome. So I really look forward to seeing some of those pics from Europe with your son up on LinkedIn and on Facebook and Instagram and everywhere else, which is really cool. And I think, you know, for people that are interested in learning more about your Leadership Lift program, there's business owners and SME CEOs that are watching this. Where's the best way to contact you, Justine? And this is a little bit of a trick question here.
Yes, well, you can find me on LinkedIn, Justine Maree Cox under Leadership Coach. You can also find me on my website, www.leaderschangeroom.com. So reach out. I'd love to connect. I am on Instagram and Facebook, but so whatever's your, wherever you play, you'll be able to find me on Instagram and Facebook. You'll find me under Leaders Change Room. So, and if you're considering investing in your leaders, Leadership Lift will provide your leaders with a system for how they go about leading their people. Yeah. One of the biggest things that I have identified over my own career and through coaching lots and lots of leaders is that most people don't have a system. They don't understand what are the key things that they need to do consistently that will create the biggest impact.
Yeah, I love that. We're going to use that as a tagline. No, it is. It's so true, and absolutely encourage people to go and connect with Justine and see what she's doing in real life and online on LinkedIn and all the platforms as well. Justine, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you here and sharing your story. And I know that for other people who, you know, perhaps are in a HR career right now or they're stepping out in their own coaching consulting business and looking to grow it, will take away a lot from this and you sharing your insights today. So thank you so much.
Yeah, happy to connect and share my experiences. I love to talk to people about all things coaching, business and leadership. So
yeah, brilliant.
Thanks, Amy.